How is it shaped up for IPOs?
We will end up the year around 45 billion in the US, excluding SPACs, because we will have the biggest IPO of the year set to price next week. Medline, medical supply, producer, distributor. 45 billion, solid. Back more in line with the decade average pre-pandemic, a step in the right direction. Not really the uptick, though, the bankers were expecting, because we've had mixed performances. We've had more billion-dollar plus IPOs, but we've been pounding the table for 3 years at this point for mega IPOs, whether it's tech or private equity.
What's like the high point? Is it going back to like the internet era or no?
Pandemic. So if you want to talk peak, 45 billion again, pretty solid year. When we tease out SPACs, 2021 saw almost 200 billion in the US. Okay. So 5 times.
There were a lot of SPACs though, right?
That's excluding SPACs.
Oh, that's excluding SPACs.
That was just every company was going public. Rivian was one of the largest IPOs of all time, and that was going to change the car space, and it hasn't lived up to those expectations.
I still see some of those Rivians around. Those are pretty cool.
I kind of like them.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah, they look like Cars, though. You know the Cars movie for kids?
They do look like Cars.
You look at them and you're like, I'm like, that belongs in Cars.
That's really funny.
It's just true.
There's multiple Cars movies I found out recently on Disney Plus. Because we have a fan of Cars in the home. Okay, so let's move into 2026 because we got some big ones coming in 2026. What's the scuttlebutt?
Well, there's a lot of questions. So within the U.S., do we see a SpaceX IPO? Do we see Fannie and Freddie go public?
If we saw a SpaceX IPO.
Well, that changes. I mean, that's the funny part is you look at the volumes again, almost 200 billion. Yeah. Well, if SpaceX were to raise 30, 40, 50 billion dollars, well, that gets a quarter of the way there. So actually, it doesn't look like that high of a watermark. But a lot of the big questions are, will we see a number of these private equity firms open up the doors?
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, the private equity guys have been hoping that they can push some of their investments out the door. But there is still a lot of money sloshing around to kind of keep them going. I mean, are we anticipating seeing more of that they maybe stay private another year or what?
The expectation is that we will see less of these continuation vehicles, which PE uses to hold it up. So the expectation is you'll get Copeland, which is a huge Blackstone-backed asset. You'll get Reworld, which is owned by EQT, 2 of those coming in the U.S., TK Elevator in Europe, as well as Geo Platforms in Asia. So the expectation is we will see some of these big deals. The big question from the buy side, though, is what does the debt ratio look like? What valuation makes people comfortable? And if you're going to jam $5 billion down the buy side, they have to want it to perform well.
I think a big question, and we have some full screens that are one of our producers, Talia, put together. Ethos Technologies, Grayscale Investments, Kraken among them too. We're talking a few crypto firms here. And if the last few weeks are any indication to the instability of the crypto market, I'm wondering how set in stone these IPOs are.
Well, that's been the debate. So coming into year end, we expected BitGo to go public. We expected Grayscale to squeeze through. Kraken has long been rumored.
We thought Grayscale would squeeze through by the end of this year.
You normally don't publicly file unless you want to go public. So when you see the companies file publicly, that normally means in about 3 or 4 weeks, you should expect it to be on the road. Instead, when you have Bitcoin pull back and you have Coinbase under selling pressure, you have pretty much everything in the ecosystem under pressure, people are forced to rethink that. I was at Goldman's private tech conference in the middle of the sell-off, and the question was, midterms are going to be scary for crypto. You want to go in the first half of next year, but if Bitcoin's at $80,000, what does it mean?
Were they saying midterms are going to be scary because the control might change in Congress?
It's been laissez-faire in DC with anything related to crypto.
Yeah, I think that's...
So if that changes and your business model is holding crypto or being a platform for people to trade crypto, well, what does that look like with a new potential regime change, or at least more pushback in DC?
Yeah, no, that makes an awful lot of sense. I'm just looking, by the way, at the Renaissance IPO index, and it's just up about 10% year to date. So those are for new issues. I don't know if that's the best measure, but I don't know how you guys think about it.
The way we would track that is at weighted average return. So in the U.S., weighted average return right now is about 12%.
Okay.
So if you comp that to the S&P 500, you're underperforming by about 5 or 6%. So not great, because the whole point of buying an IPO is to outperform the market, not underperform the market.
You want that surging price, right?